Are you still trying to figure out how to use social media to drive more business? On this episode of Dealcasters, we talk to the unique thought leader and award-winning streaming lawyer, Mitch Jackson, who's the best-selling author of The Ultimate Guide to Social Media.
Mitch is one of the most well-known active trial lawyers on social media. He's been profiled in best-selling marketing books and dozens of publications and platforms, including Inc., Mashable, and The Wall Street Journal. Not only that, he's blazing a trail for other content creators on the hot new app Clubhouse and sharing his strategies with you.
The court is now in session. Let's go.
So let's bring Mitch on.
Mitch Jackson, the streaming lawyer.
You guys are awesome. Jim and Chris, thanks for having me on. It's good to be on the show, guys.
Thanks for joining us. And so, Mitch, what got you into social media to begin with? You've got to spend a lot of hours prepping for your clients, spending time in court. You know, as you know, my wife being a court reporter, she knows what you guys go through as lawyers. I mean, how do you do it?
I do it to keep my sanity. I do it because I became a lawyer, Jim, to help people. I met my wife in law school, and Lisa and I practiced together. We have for the last 34 years, although she was with a big defense firm for about the first 4 years of her practice. And then we got married, and when we came back from our honeymoon, she came in with me, and the rest is history. That was back in 1988. And I always wanted to help people. I wanted to take on the wrongdoers, wanted to take on the bullies in the world. That's why I decided to become a lawyer, first generation lawyer. Didn't know what I was getting myself into, but what I quickly realized is it's about helping people. And the reason I've embraced social and digital and the internet is back in the day, Jim and Chris, we used to meet one-on-one, right? The clients used to have to get in their car, drive down to the office, come in, meet with us, and we'd be able to answer their legal questions. And what I realized quickly, especially in 1996 when we put up our first website, was I was able to communicate not just one-to-one, but 1 to 100, 1 to 1,000, 1 to 10,000. And so it allowed me to help more consumers and provide more information. Social media has 10x'd that. What you guys are doing right now, what we're not just talking to each other in an office building, we're talking to people right now across all the different time zones around the world. And, you know, this is where the power is. It's in not just information, but in knowing how to use the information. And so one of the things I'm excited about today is sharing at least what's working for us and some of the tools and devices that we're using to embrace the power of the internet, to use and enjoy and benefit from live video shows like this, and to create the community and the audience of the three of us. You guys, okay, thank you very much for the kind words, but you guys are also killing it on live video. And I've been watching what you're doing, and we're all building communities, you know, not just across the street, but from the other side of the world. So that's the short answer, believe it or not. You ask a lawyer a question, I could take hours answering it. That's the short answer. And so it's good to be here, and I'm excited to talk about some of the things we're going to be talking about today.
I love how you have completely, you know, not only leaned in, but have gone all in on social media. And so what I noticed, and of course we touched on it, we touched on Clubhouse earlier, but Mitch Jackson just doesn't lean in. Right? I mean, you've taken advantage of this, you know, first in kind of, let's call it a social media thing for now. We know it's a number of things, right? But you leaned in big time, but I noticed how effectively you're utilizing it. So, you know, for Clubhouse, for you as a lawyer, what are you noticing is the most effective way to utilize it?
To make new contacts, to build new relationships, to touch base with leaders of industry, whether they're CEOs of major companies, entertainment icons, venture capitalists. Some of the top marketing and branding experts in the world are on Clubhouse right now. Silicon Valley business owners, investors are on Clubhouse right now. So what I'm doing is, instead of spending time in the lawyer rooms, instead of spending time in the traditional marketing rooms, which I enjoy, because times, you know, it's a limited asset for all of us. It's probably one of our most important assets. What I'm doing with purpose and with intent is I'm actually finding rooms being managed and run by people who I want to get to know better. and I'm joining the rooms. I'm raising my hand. For those of you that haven't been on Clubhouse, you tap a button, you raise your digital hand, and you're invited up onto the stage, and you can have conversations with people that you may have not ever had a chance to meet before. So, Chris, one of the things is I love meeting new people, and from those new relationships become new business opportunities, come new business to the law firm. But let me just take us back real quick to when I started, just 60 seconds or less. And I started practicing in 1986, didn't know anybody in Orange County, first year lawyer, started my practice out of the back of my car, realized that it was going to be tough to compete against some of the more well-established law firms here in Orange County, California. Some of the best lawyers in the country are here in Orange County, California. A lot of the cases you guys hear about on TV, it's Orange County firms. And so I'm starting to build my practice out. I only had a couple of files. I kept them in the back of my car. I'm playing basketball down at Main Beach every single day. But I was networking, and I was starting to meet people that needed legal help, right? Criminal defense clients, small business owners trying to start up a new tennis shoe line, whatever it might be. And so I started and built my business the old way and the hard way, one person at a time, spending money on advertising. We were spending thousands and thousands of dollars a month on traditional marketing, advertising, keeping our law library, up to date. And when the internet rolled around, when social media rolled around, the reason I'm so motivated, Chris, is because I realized I can do everything I used to do times 10 more effectively and communicate with more people almost for free, right? And so I've never been accused of being the sharpest knife in the drawer. But when that happened, I'm like, okay, I need to just dive in head first and just, embrace this technology, maybe push the comfort envelope a little bit because lawyers weren't using live video. They weren't using social media. And then I jumped on a platform, and we're going to talk about some of these platforms, but I jumped on a platform that was started by a gentleman named Jeff Floor. He's the co-founder of StubHub before he sold it. And Jeff started a company called Spreecast. It was the first live video platform before Blab, before a lot of other platforms. And they actually reached out to me, and they wanted a lawyer on the platform. And I said, that sounds exciting. And within a month, I found myself on shows with Anderson Cooper, Katie Couric, Peter Diamandis, Gabby Stern of the Wall Street Journal, people I would not have ever met had I not given myself permission to dip my toe into this live streaming sandbox. And like I said, once that happened, I'm like, okay, there's power to what's happening right now in the world, which has led me full circle to new friends like you and Jim. And so that's the motivation. That's the why behind why I'm all in on social. When a new platform like Clubhouse comes out, I don't know if it's going to be hot 6 months from now or 12 months from now, but right now it's the hot platform. And so I'm all in, and I'm making an intentional effort to maximize my time, to maximize my effectiveness on that platform, to make new connections, to continue building my personal brand. And I got to tell you guys something, and you already know this. It's a powerful platform. It's been working out very well.
What I loved about what you said initially, when you talked about why you got into the business that you're in, is that you wanted to help people. And I think a lot of people, whether they're in sales or whether they're in law or whether, whatever business, and they have customers, clients, they don't think about their customers or their clients' problems and how they can solve them. But I loved how your mindset is about how can I help people? I really like to do this. I'm passionate about helping people. What are some experiences that you've had over the years, whether it's streaming or not streaming, that you as a lawyer, where you were able to help someone that they had a problem, and you in your profession, you were able to help them through that?
Sure. It's I think in today's business world, if you don't have this mindset, I don't care what you do for a living, whatever your product or service is, if you're not working very hard right now to create an exemplary client experience, a unique, entertaining, memorable, easy tap, swipe, click type of experience that hopefully they can enjoy on their phone, I think you're positioning yourself, to eventually go out of business. So part of my motivation is to try to stay ahead of the curve, to try to be unique and make it as easy and simple for my clients. the major part of my motivation and Lisa's is to help people. And I would say out of the thousands of cases that we've handled over the last 34 years, many of them going to trial, every single one, Chris, not to, avoid answering the question directly, every single one in its own unique way, whether it's a small case or a big case, has been a rewarding experience. It's why I'm still excited today to get up in the morning and practice law. I think we're doing it the right way. Most lawyers after 10, 15 years, they're ready to do something else. Think about this. Every case we have, someone's got a major life-changing challenge, that they're dealing with, and we have to step in and help them. There's a lot of stress in the room. There's a lot of stress down at the courthouse. And so unless you've got the right mindset to deal with these challenges and approach these cases in a certain way, it can be kind of overwhelming and it can take it out of you. I've got a lot of friends of mine that, after about 10 years, they were done. They couldn't do it anymore. It's kind of like being a heavyweight fighter. You got to have the right mentality.
Right.
And, you're not getting punched physically, but you got to have the right mentality. So what we're doing is we focus on combining what we're doing in the courtroom with serving our community through our Rotary clubs and other organizations. For me, getting outside, and back in the day, 38, 39 years of riding motocross, a lot of times while I was practicing law with other lawyers, a couple of local judges, balancing that with paddleboarding and running and doing some other things. It's kind of like this blur right throughout the course of the day that keeps me from going cross-eyed or drooling over my pleadings, answering discovery responses. You pepper that with the right trials and the right juries, and it gets exciting. I think one of the two most memorable cases, just that come to mind right now, just because there's something attached to each one, just super quick, was I had a case for about 5 years where it was a wrongful death case. I'm not going to go into the details, but Johnny Cochran's office, because of a conflict of interest, wasn't able to help the family. They were referred to my firm. We took the case, litigated it for 5 years. We had a settlement offer of $1, a wrongful death case that went up to, I think, $10,000 or $15,000 before trial. We tried the case, and the jury came back with a $5.5 million verdict, which resulted in my firm being acknowledged and me being named a 2009 Orange County Trial Lawyer of the Year. That was a really big deal because nobody thought we could win that case. 2013, we had another case where we helped create some new law in the state of California. I had a chance to receive an award by the Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court, along with a couple of other lawyers. I was one of California's 2013 Litigation Lawyers of the Year. So for a guy growing up on a ranch in Tucson who didn't know anybody when he moved to California, to look back on my career and have those two little feathers in my cap, it feels pretty good. And now the best part is our daughter is in her second year of practicing law at Shepherd Mullen up in Century City, which is in Los Angeles. And when we asked AJ, why do you want to be a lawyer? Because it wasn't something we were pushing. She said, well, I've watched you and Mom help a lot of people over the years, and I want to help people too.
Good job,
so when you combine all of that, as a dad, I mean, everything I've done, I don't care about that. I'm like, okay, so cool. So that's another long answer to a short question. Sorry, Chris, but that's where I'm coming from.
Don't apologize for that, man. We're all dads here, man. That's amazing.
It's all about family, right?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So Mitch, what drove you to create a book about social media? You would have maybe thought the first book would have been like social media for lawyers. Somebody's already written social media for dummies, right?
Yeah. Believe me, I've got that one. I tried, Jim. You know what? I wasn't smart enough to write the book on my own. Let me show you. There are a couple of different versions. This is one version. Okay. I think the most recent one has me in a suit on the cover. Mm-hmm. But Jim, as you well know, my secret to this book was I reached out to 44 top experts from around the country who contributed chapters to the book, which was the best thing I ever did. I tried to write the book on my own, and my cases and my trials just got in the way. And once I reached out to some friends of mine who are all very kind and contributed chapters, the book kind of started to come together. And the reason I did it, Jim, was because I had a lot of friends of mine asking, how do you do this? How do you live stream? what platforms are you live streaming on? How do you use Instagram? What's Twitter? How do you tweet, right? And so I was answering the same questions over and over. So I decided, you know what I'm going to do? We'll just sit down for about 6 months, put this together. Now I've got something that I can literally just hand someone, or I can steer them to where? Amazon, right? It's available as a book,
right?
Audible and Kindle versions. And they can literally get, as of today, I mean, this book's 2 years old, but it's more relevant today than it was 2 years ago. Why? Because people are understanding now, because of COVID-19, because of social distancing, because of working from home, because of the importance of having a brand and having a cloud-based business, this stuff right here is more important than it's ever been. And so that's why I put it together. And if you notice, the title to the book, it's The Ultimate Guide to Social Media for Business Owners, Professionals, and Entrepreneurs. I didn't even mention lawyers. Right. And I did that on purpose because what I wanted to do is empower other business owners, other professionals, whether you're an accountant, a doctor, a lawyer, a CPA. I wanted them to understand that it's okay to build out a brand on social. It's okay to help more than one person at a time by sharing your secret sauce. And by having that Bob Burg, co-author of The Go-Giver, having that Bob Burg mentality of just being a giver, give, and then give some more before you ever ask for anything. And one of the contributing authors to my book was Mark Schaefer. Mark Schaefer shared a chapter about being known. He wrote a book called Known, which was outstanding. I read it on my way back from Amsterdam on a family trip. And Mark shared a chapter just for the book, really kind of consolidating many of the things in the book Known just for social media and for this book. But Mark's got a new book out, right? And I think before we went live, we're going to talk about that. Yeah. But his new book is called Cumulative Advantage: How to Build Momentum for Your Ideas, Business, and Life Against All Odds. And I know he's super excited about this book. I think he thinks it's probably one of his best. I can't wait to get it. But for example, what's fun is when somebody reaches out to me to purchase my book on Amazon, I'm going to direct them, over to Mark's books, over to Bob Burg's books, over to David Merriman Scott's books, over to Jay Baer's books, because I know lawyers and other professionals that tap into this information that has nothing to do with our industries, nothing to do with what we do, but it has everything to do with connecting with people. It has everything to do with closing that deal, winning that case. I know it's going to enrich their lives. And so I love sharing this stuff with everyone else. And I think the unintended benefit of this is that it's also allowed me to meet some really cool people from all over the world and form new relationships. There's a wonderful, so I don't know if she's a barrister or a solicitor, or I think she's a retired barrister out of London, outside of London. It's Leeds, London in the UK. Her name's Chrissy Lightfoot. And when Chrissy and I first met back around probably 2010, 2011, where she interviewed me for a book that she was writing, it's called The Naked Lawyer. And what it's all about was lawyers, showing their human side. And back then, lawyers weren't showing their human side. But Chrissy and I kind of hit it off and we stayed in touch. And so when my family took a trip to London 2 years ago, year and a half ago, we all got to sit down and have lunch together, right? And when she comes out here, we're going to go paddleboarding down at Dana Point Harbor. So what's fun about this is when I see the two of you and you're in South Orange County, you're here in Southern California, we're going to do some stuff together, right? Yeah. And this wouldn't have happened had it not been for live video, social media, a lot of the conferences that we go to. None of this wouldn't have happened unless we had stepped up and made the effort to embrace this new technology, embrace these new opportunities.
Yeah, and I loved your book. I mean, I got to read it, cover to cover, and it was funny because as I was reading it, I've met this person, I know, and it was just really cool how you put that together. I mean, Madeline Sklar, Mike Alton, Stephanie Liu, all just not just good content, but good people, right? And I think
I agree. That was a requirement.
Yeah.
That was a prerequisite, just so you know. I had some knuckleheads that wanted to contribute chapters. And I say that affectionately. That's a term it's a Latin term we learned in law school a long time ago. And I'll tell you, there were 5 or 6 chapters that did not make it into the book. And that's just the way it is.
That's actually a term that we like to use in the Marines as well. Is you knuckleheads. Yeah,
I think it's.
I did not know that it was derived in Latin. So,
well, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
Yes, knuckleless headus for hard-headed, right?
And I'm glad you clarified a lot of that stuff, Mitch, just because social media, amongst other things, technology and whatnot, changes so rapidly. There's always new developments. There's always like, oh, did you know that Instagram's now doing this and Twitter's doing this? But the book isn't just about that kind of stuff because it just dates itself. It's concepts, it's mentalities, it's mindset. It's like you're talking about. You mentioned Bob Berg, the giving mentality. Social media is social media. It's not just something you can trumpet from wherever. You actually need to be social on it. And I love how the book touches on those things. And the fact that you reached out to people that contributed to the book is giving in and of itself. So I think if someone were to look at this book and they were to say, well, it's 2021, but it was written 2 years ago or whatever, it's not about here's the new concept that's now happening, reels on Instagram or anything like that. You can go to the internet and find, whatever you want to find about that.
Thank you.
It's the concepts of what you want to do and what you want to deliver on social media, which is not just relevant today, but which will be relevant years from now. So.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Chris, because the book's broken down, just wrapping up the book real quick, into 3 sections, you guys. And the first section is understanding the mindset of social. That's why I started off with Bob Berg, chapter 2, having a go-giver mentality, because unless you've got the right mindset for social, it's not going to work. Unless you've got the right mindset for life or business, that's not going to work for you either. So the content in the first section applies to all of the above. The second section is all about understanding the personalities of the platforms. The last section, you guys, is my favorite section. It's 14 or 15 chapters on how to communicate. These are different approaches that we use in court, during mediations, arbitrations. I've got top keynote speakers that talk in front of thousands of people at Tony Robbins who have contributed their speaking styles and tips and approaches to the third section of the book. One of them is Carmine Gallo, who wrote the book Talk Like TED. And Carmine interviewed 200 TED speakers and to find out what makes the top TED speakers so good. And I think they're all great, right? But what Carmine did is he wrote a chapter just for this book on how to take the tips he learned after interviewing these TED speakers and apply them to social media. And he broke it down into 3 components. I can share them with you real quick if you'd like.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think it's really important. So what Carmine basically says in Talk Like TED and in the chapter is you want to create social media that has 3 components to it. Number 1, you want your social media to be entertaining. And we all like to watch entertaining social media. It has to be appropriately entertaining. If I'm talking about a serious wrongful death case, obviously that's not entertaining to anyone, except if the circumstances behind what happened are unique. It's a Tesla that was self-driving that collided into the side of a semi-tractor trailer. That's kind of interesting to a lot of people, right? So you want to craft your message, your post, your story, your live stream, and have some type of appropriate entertaining component to it. Number 2, you want it to be unique. There's a reason why I'm not in a suit and tie right now, in addition to COVID and working from home. But I want my viewers and my audience and people who know me to understand that I'm just the guy next door. So you're always going to see me, in a casual attire. I want to be unique as a lawyer. When I'm out running, when I'm down on the paddleboard, back when we were racing motocross, that's unique. A lot of lawyers aren't doing that stuff. They should be, and I think they will after they watch this show because it really works. But, be unique in your content. And then the last component is create memorable content. Create content in a way where people are going to go, you know what? You need to watch this. Let me send you the link. One way you create memorable content is do your live video like this, and then repurpose the content on different platforms. Convert it into an audio for a podcast. Take clips of the highlights of your last year of videos and clip those highlights together to create an entirely new video that addresses a specific issue. If you're a lawyer and you're asked the same 10 questions each month, take that highlight clip, make it about 10 or 15 minutes long, and have 10 or 15 experts, but it's going to be memorable to the recipient of the message. And so I think, using a lot of the technology you guys are sharing here on Amazon Live, we may or may not talk about some of it today, using the approaches in the books that we've already mentioned. I think anybody, regardless of what you're selling, what you're doing, what type of consulting service you're involved with, can embrace this technology to really build their brands, both personally and professionally, and position themselves, for long-term success, not only in 2021, but for many years to come.
And Mitch, you may not know this, but we, like you, use lately AI. So shout out to Kate if she comes and watches this later to repurpose content like this, because you're right. It just makes it so cool to be able to take these things and because like today, right? We do this live show. You've done it too. Well, don't let it just sit on the shelf. Do something with it. A lot of
Tell
times
people what Lately does. And Agora Pulse too. I'm a brand ambassador for Agora Pulse. I love that platform. Also, they allow you to, Jim, I want you to tell everybody what Lately does, but before you do, let me share something about Agora Pulse.
Absolutely.
So I'm sitting in court, you guys. We're halfway through a 2-week trial. It's like a Wednesday morning break, probably about 10:30 in the morning. The jury's dismissed. We're sitting at counsel table, and the other attorney leans over to me with his phone. He goes, "How did you just tweet this out?" He goes, "I've been sitting in trial for a week and a half, and I'm following you on Twitter, and you're tweeting like 4 or 5 times a day, and I'm sitting next to you in trial. How are you doing that, right?" And so I explained to him how on Sunday nights during Sunday Night Football, which is when we're trying these cases, I'll sit down and just schedule a lot of content in Agora Pulse or have my team members do it for me so that it goes out during the week. Lately allows you to do the same thing, but it allows you to do a couple of other things using AI.
Yeah, and that's where, we take our videos, we upload them, and then it finds those nuggets, right? And I love how they say they get you to third base, and then your voice takes it home. And so it's same thing, right? You're able to schedule through Lately. You can even take that stuff, put it into Agora Pulse, which I use as well. And because this stuff is stuff you got to remind. I mean, some of it's what we like to use the term evergreen. That what you say is good at any time. Sometimes maybe even more so. And I think, Mitch, too, something that I don't think any of us maybe anticipated was interesting in what you were saying about where now maybe like more, we'll just say professionals in general are going to say, I need a personal brand, is we accidentally were prepared for what happened the last 9 months because we had been doing this before it happened. Like live streaming wasn't something new to us. We weren't like, oh my gosh, how do I go live? And I don't think it's too late for people to get started. In fact, I'd say they should get started. And I wanted to, Mitch, we talked about this before the show. Let's talk a little bit more about Clubhouse, because you said you had seven things you wanted to talk about regarding that. I think that's some good stuff to share for people that maybe aren't aware of what Clubhouse can do for them.
Well, absolutely, Jim. So last night I was in a Clubhouse room. Think of it as being on stage, in this audio room, and I shared 7 things that we're doing to move forward in 2021. Some of these ideas have come from watching what our clients are doing or how we're using technology, just as Jim mentioned, such as live video, how we've used it the last 8 or 9, 10 years, and how when COVID hit, it was just a couple of minor speed bumps here at the firm because how we're set up, we're still able to communicate with the clients in the cloud and using some of the other approaches. So just real quick, because some of the items that we may be discussing today help us do some of these 7 things. But I think it's critically important, looking back at 2020, moving forward, you guys, is you want to make sure that you're communicating with your clients in the way that they want to be communicated to. Okay, this is key. Right now, everybody's under a lot of pressure, stress. If somebody wants you to communicate with them using text messages or an email or picking up the phone, have your business set up so that you can communicate with that person in that fashion. Eliminate the friction, make it easy. It's super simple to do, yet I see a lot of professionals say, well, we don't text our clients. We can mail you a letter. or we can FedEx you a document, or we might be able to figure out how to use an email attachment, believe it or not. Wow. But, the key here, you guys, is communicate with the clients in the form and fashion that they want you to communicate to them. Number two, focus on the relationships. If there's one thing we learned in 2020 is it's all about relationships. The courthouse is shut down. We stopped trying cases. Because of the relationships we have with our clients, they understand. They understand that we're even though they don't see what we're doing, they know we're doing the best we can to protect their rights and move their case along as best possible. I think the takeaway for all of us is if we're all servicing our clients in that fashion, and there's another virus, there's another event that just shuts everything down, by having those valued relationships where your clients know, like, and trust you, they're going to be easy with you. They're going to give you a break. They're going to want to continue using your products and services as opposed to going someplace else. I think relationships, we've now learned, even though a lot of us knew this, I think it was a gentle reminder. There's never been anything more important. Totally important, number three, is to understand who your clients are. What we've done in the past and what we're even doing more so moving forward in 2021 is, for example, Chris, you and Jim are in our database, and I've got you tagged with respect to the different areas of business and practice and interest and hobbies that you guys have. We do that with all of our clients so that we can personalize our communications. If my Arizona Wildcats basketball season right now are playing Stanford, for example, I can easily click and send a text, an email, or bomb email, video email to a group of clients and friends and acquaintances who either went to Arizona, went to Stanford, or like college basketball. And we can all kind of bust each other's chops and have some fun. That's how you create relationships.
Mitch, in case you don't know, Chris is a big Blue fan of Michigan. So if you want to be prepared to stir that pot sometime.
Arizona is very comfortable with beating up on anybody. So if we have to roll into Ann Arbor and take care of business there, we'd be more than happy to, although this may not be the year. Let's see. Number 4 is you want to be agile, and you want to take your business right now, you guys, and using a lot of products and services available on Amazon, build out a cloud component of your business so that if something happens and you can't go into work or everyone has to work from home, make sure you've got a cloud-centered or focused type of service so your clients can be serviced via their smartphones, via their tablets. We use Clio, which is a practice management software that allows us to set up 24/7 portals for our clients so they can access the software to get their case information, exchange documents, look at the calendars. They don't have to call us or text us. Everything's just a click away at 3 a.m. I think now more than ever, I think clients really appreciate that. The 5th item, and I'll just go through these quickly, is it's really important, I think, for businesses to diversify. If you have all your eggs in one basket and somebody takes that basket away from you, maybe it's the state of California telling you can't open up your shop and cut hair or let people work out in your gym. Do you have a backup plan? And I talked a little bit about maybe thinking about how can you set up, and this is the 6th tip, some type of online subscription or membership service, some type of online consulting service that complements what you do. Lawyers, any business can do this, but it might be another revenue source so that if revenue source number 1 gets shut down for whatever reason, you've still got revenue source number 2. One of the secrets with creating an online membership, mastermind, or subscription-based service is also have a strong community and networking component to that service. People will go there, and I'm noticing this right now. People get together in my mastermind because we can all visit and just talk. And we can talk about, Michigan basketball or Notre Dame basketball. I'm trying to think of some of the guys and gals in the group, big time Alabama football guys. And then we have the Pac-12, right? And so, sometimes we talk about law, sometimes we talk about technology, but there's always something to talk about. I think everybody feels good and better after that 1-hour conversation. The last thing is just to always remember, we're building our digital 24/7 global brands. We're dealing with multiple time zones. I'm here in California. There may be someone on the other side of the world watching this live or recorded show. And we all know that is happening. And so start thinking that way. Start thinking globally. Whatever you're doing, how can you build out that brand? On the show last night in Clubhouse was a longtime friend of mine, Chocolate Johnny. He's got a chocolate shop in Australia, John Campos. And what John has done over the years, starting off with Periscope, fast forward to today, is he's taken this, he's a third generation chocolatier, but he's taken this chocolate store and he's created a global brand where he's now shipping chocolate all over the world. And this started back with when Periscope originally came out, which was the original kind of live video, which Twitter now has taken over and is going to be discontinuing. John took advantage of this technology to expand his brand. And I think we can all do the same thing. I think if we do so and show our human side and pull back the curtain and let people into our lives or what really happens behind the scenes, which is something I'm really going to focus on once things open back up and we can get back down to the courthouse. I'm going to take people back into the judges' chambers. They're going to talk to the jurors after our cases. We've got motions we've set up and stipulations we've set up so that we can all agree to film and videotape and live feed some portions of our trials to the rest of the world. And it's pretty complicated stuff as far as the judge and opposing counsel giving us permission to do this, but there's a way to do it. And so we're already preparing for that because I know this is content that my audience is going to want to see. And I feel like once they see us in court, dropping gloves, throwing punches and taking names, I think it's going to help with more business coming in. I also think it's going to help give young students in college an idea of if they want to be a lawyer, what's it really like to be a trial lawyer? Because it's nothing like what you see on TV. And so they'll be able to, like I said, look through that curtain and get a better idea of what happens in the courtroom. So I think people that take advantage of these 7 approaches in 2021 and beyond are positioning themselves for success. I think those companies, business owners that don't, are probably really rolling the dice and just getting in the way of themselves when it comes to, reaching the goals that they're setting for themselves at the end of each year.
Right. Mitch, I love how you always talk about like the personal side, and if you maybe want to talk about it a little bit, some of the tools you use to do that. I mean, I know like you've got the GoPro is one of the things that you like to use, because if you guys have never seen it, you got to follow Mitch on social. Mitch is running. I think he's just got done with a paddleboard or something, but he's using this to communicate to everyone and see it everywhere, even on LinkedIn, right, Mitch? Don't usually see you, I think, in a suit.
Right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm actually the secret, and everyone, will tell you if they're being honest with you. We all prefer, a casual shirt and shorts right now. We had a mediation where we knew the judge, went to law school with the judge, and I knew the other lawyers pretty well. So when we were done with the mediation, which was just basically a Zoom, everyone, the judge said, I'm not going to go into details, but basically he said, I'm going to do something for the winner. If you have pants on, stand up and I will do something for you. Maybe it was a donation to a local charity, right? Just having fun. We're all done with the case. None of the lawyers stood up. None of us had pants on. We all had shorts on, right? My running shorts. And so I prefer this. This tool right here, which is a GoPro, guys. This is my Hero 9 digital stabilizer. When I go out for a run, I just, use my Archon mount so I can wrap this around a fence pole, a tree branch, or put it on the ground, or I can just hold it out like this while I'm running. And I'll usually think of something, whether it's a breaking news story that I read about that morning, whether it's maybe a trial tip for a young trial lawyer, maybe it's how lawyers can embrace social media or live video. And I'll just run and just talk my GoPro. The video is outstanding. The audio on the newer GoPros is excellent. And I'll create a short 3 to 5, sometimes 10-minute video that I'll then share and repurpose on all the platforms, right? YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it might be. And it really gets a lot of engagement. People aren't used to seeing lawyers do this. For me, I'm multitasking. I want to go for a run. It takes time to create videos, so why not do both at the same time? You'll usually see me running by Chaparosa, which is where, I coached Little League for many, many years with my son. And so I'll usually stop and show the Little League field and talk about a memory. But I think, for professionals or anyone else, whether you're using your phone, whether you're using a GoPro, it's just a great way to create unique content that works really well. The other thing, Jim and Chris, you've got down there is the Samsung Go Mic Mobile. And this is pretty cool, you guys. We use the Samsung device. This clips onto your belt, okay? Or you can put it in your pocket. This clips on to the back of your phone, or if you're using a tripod, you can just Velcro it to the tripod. It doesn't necessarily need to connect to your phone. There's a little wire that connects to your phone. And what happens is whether you're 10 feet away or 50 feet away or 100 feet away, shooting video on your phone, it allows for a crystal clear audio, like you're 2 feet away from the phone. It is really, really cool, especially when I'm down on the beach and I was doing some of the original virtual keynotes when COVID first hit. None of us were appearing on stage anymore, right? So I thought to myself, all right, I still need to do this keynote, and we're recording them. I use this technology to do a keynote with the waves behind me, that noisy surf sound, right? But because I was using the Samsung, the audio was crystal clear. It also comes with an accessory, which is a mic that hooks up the same way. So you can use this and just talk into it like this, whether you're interviewing someone else or you're just holding the mic yourself and you're 15 feet away from your iPhone or Android device, and you've got crystal clear sound. So little things like this that aren't expensive, I think makes all the difference in the world. And you guys know better than anyone, a lot of people don't pay attention to the audio component of their videos, and that's where they're really dropping the ball, right?
You gave me a great idea, Mitch. I had never thought of this because I didn't realize that's what this thing did. So I'm in Toastmasters, and a lot of Toastmasters struggle with doing visual presentation. Well, if I can have my phone attached to Zoom and now I can stand back, now I can have that audio, not have to sit there and worry about, I've got to be near my microphone, because a lot of times, right, we talk about you want to be, a little further back. So I love the idea of using that as a way to be able to make sure that, you get yourself framed right. You can be further away. You don't have to necessarily have this long cord attached to your tripod. I mean,
and you use a little lapel mic, just like this. The reason we got it is so when I'm on stage and Lisa's 2 or 3 rows away, but it's literally 30 feet away, especially on a big stage, I wanted to have my own video content independent of what the company was producing. And so that's why we originally went this route, Jim, and it really works well.
You've got the 9, but it's not your first GoPro. Like I think every time a new one comes out, you get the next one.
Not every time, but almost. So the 9 you got, like the 9 is the digital stabilizer is outstanding. The audio is outstanding, but a front screen. So when you're doing a selfie, you can frame yourself and actually see yourself in the front. The older GoPros don't have this, but it doesn't really matter because it's such a wide angle lens that when you hold the GoPro out like this, whether you're walking or running, it's pretty easy to catch a good, correctly framed video or picture of yourself. But the 9 has this function. Before this, I had the GoPro 7. I didn't have the 8. It was fantastic. It is fantastic. It works great. I just had a chance to upgrade to a 9. And so I was able to give the 7 to my son, and he's going to use that up. He tells me he's going to use it up at the fraternity house at SC when he goes back up. But I advised him on the advice of counsel. I would keep the video to a minimum, but we'll see if he listens to me.
And I would tell you, on the advice of counsel, thank goodness we didn't have this stuff when we were in college.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Tell me more, Jim.
Yeah. So Mitch, maybe a final question. So if you were advising, like, say someone, we'll just say, business owners, entrepreneurs, what would you recommend to them to get started first? Like, what should they do? How do they kind of overcome that fear? So, one day they'll be, like Mitch Jackson.
I don't want them to be like me. They don't want to be like me. It took me too long to get to where I am. But first thing, Jim and Chris, as you guys know, I would tell them, be yourself, right? That's something that none of us can ever duplicate. And I just shared a video last night with a public defender in San Diego who I met on Clubhouse, who's into his practice about 5 years. And I shared a video with him that I'd be happy to share with you guys sometimes. But basically just that moment when I realized, quit trying to be like everyone else and just be yourself and just stay true to your internal compass when it comes to values and ethics. And once I figured out, that's when the magic started to happen. That's when I started being more comfortable in court. That's when the types of clients that I wanted to represent started showing up at the office. And the reason being is I started sharing my hobbies, my interests and passions. People gravitated towards that, and then they come in and we friends or they become clients. I would suggest that lawyers or anyone grab either my book or a book like mine and get a good feeling for how social media works, how digital works, and then have a game plan to build out your digital brand. Okay. Everybody, all the lawyers know the evidence code, code of civil procedure, rules of court. You kind of learn how to trace at least the fundamentals. Knowing that stuff's not going to separate you from everyone else. So how can you separate yourself from everyone else? I think you can do it easily and cost effectively by embracing social media and digital. And then, Jim, what I would suggest is once you understand the dynamics of social, generally speaking, I would absolutely start a weekly live video show. I would start a show and start interviewing movers and shakers in your community. If you're a business litigation lawyer, I would have a weekly show shining a bright light on a new CEO, on a new business owner, both large and small in your community every single week, and ask them what makes them tick. Why did they start their companies? Why do they enjoy being an entrepreneur? What are some of the challenges that they've had and how do they overcome them? I've got some friends of mine that started Bomani, which is an alcohol-infused coffee drink. They started up their company just before COVID-19 hit. Okay. It's hugely successful. And I've got them on Clubhouse this Friday to talk about their entrepreneurial journey. Now, Sam Manny went to high school with my daughter. So they're family friends. And I think the world of Sam and his partners. And I've got Sam and Armin on, one of his co-founders, to talk about their journey. I think other lawyers can do the same thing, whether you're using live video, whether you're podcast, whether you're on Clubhouse doing this, you can share other people's stories. But guess what happens when you do this? When you do this, you start to connect with other people. You might hit it off and start doing business together. They're sharing your interview with their audience. So when you have someone on that might be well known, they might have a large audience. Those are all potential clients that are watching your interview. Those are all potential referral sources. And if you do it right and you don't make it about you, you make it about your guest. And once you figure out how to do that, it's fun and it's easy to do. I think that's the quickest way to build your brand. It's the quickest way to connect with the people that you'll want to connect with, especially in business. And I think it's something that everybody can do. I think lawyers are really good at this. I think lawyers are good at standing in front of 12 people they've never met before and understanding, just using people skills. And by the way, Bob Berg's book, Adversaries into Allies, is the best people skills, soft skills book I've ever read. But using the people skills in court, they're able to come back on social media and really create some really cool videos. And so it's just a matter of showing them how to do this so that they go about it the right way and not the way. You don't want to look like that late night lawyer ad who likes looking at those, right? Not even me. And I think that's what I would recommend, Jim and Chris, is to embrace live video or maybe podcasting. I think video is even better for what we're talking about, and do a weekly show and interview other movers and shakers. And I'd be surprised at how that will accelerate their path towards success. So instead of it taking 20 years, maybe it'll take 5 years. It's still a long-term play, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. Right. And I think a lot of people, they want that quick fix, like here's 5 ways for you to make $1 million in 4 weeks, or whatever the headline is. Exactly. And they don't realize, like, there is work here. There is some time there. This is somewhat of a long game, but this could be the quickest way. And I love how you sculpted this to say, listen, be vulnerable, be transparent, be yourself, be authentic, right? And then you'll get the right clients, you'll get the right attention. And the more you're alive and you're doing that and you're working those reps in and you're interviewing people, people can see you working with other prospective clients and go, you know what? That person is someone I can see me working with. The more you're doing it.
Look, the older we get, the wiser we get. This is not stuff that I could have shared with you 20 years ago. These are, I'm at the other end of the spectrum, right? And I'm a better human being than I was 25 years ago. I'm a better father and husband, and I'm a better business owner. I'm a better lawyer just because of the mistakes and the unexpected outcomes, right? And so I'm sharing through a different lens than I would have shared, 25 or 30 years ago. I will tell you. When this book came out, the first week it came out, Sunday morning, my son comes downstairs with and he goes, Dad, my buddies think you're a rock star. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning. He goes, Gary Vaynerchuk just tweeted out your book to 1.8 million people on Twitter, right? And they didn't know that you knew Gary, and like, this is so cool, right? And I said, well, first of all, I'm not a rock star because somebody tweeted something out. I'm a rock star because I'm your dad, right? Let's get that straight right now, right? So I had to like recenter him, and I was just busting his chops a little bit. And he goes, what? And I said, no, you don't understand. This goes back 8 years earlier to when Gary was just getting started. His first book, Crush It, came out. A buddy of mine at a cross country meet, his daughter and my daughter were two of probably. Sheridan was the top runner. AJ was in her third. We had 4 runners our senior year with a all-time top 10 times in a school that was 50 years old, right? They were state champs their freshman year. So they're in 1 and 2 in this meet against San Clemente, and Steve comes over and he hands me Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. He goes, you're going to like this book. So I'm checking it out. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I had just started doing video too, and I liked Gary's approach. A month or two later, he was in Orange County at what's called a Linked OC event. A friend of mine, Brian Elliott, had Linked OC. So we went down and got a chance to chat and bullshit with Gary for a while. And it turns out Mark Sanchez, football, Mission Viejo High School, was a quarterback at USC, and the Jets had just drafted Mark. Mark's uncle is a fire captain who is a friend of my buddy. All right. And this just all kind of came out during the conversation, but we connected about football and Sanchez and the Jets. And I had no idea he was a big fan of the Jets, or he may be the future owner.
Still waiting to buy him.
But it was a dance, that started a long time ago, right? So when he did that, and he doesn't normally tweet out other people's products or services, it had nothing to do with the book or anything else. It had to do with, he's like, I want to show Mitch some love. I haven't read the book, but there's a new out, and here's the Amazon link. Look where we are, Amazon Live. That was pretty huge, right? And everything just exploded after that. So oftentimes this is a long-term play. It's not a sprint. There's no finish line. It's not even a marathon. There's no finish line. This is more like working out. It's more like exercise. It's more like, just trying to improve on a daily basis. And I think professionals and business owners that treat social media that way and just understand it's a daily activity, that if you embrace it and bring it into your life and into your business and take advantage of new platforms like you guys have, I think that's how you can stand out above all the noise. I think that's how you can create top of mind awareness. And I think that's how you can create long-term success. You just have to take action. And that's where everyone drops the ball.
Awesome stuff. Mitch, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
You're welcome to come back anytime. We can have conversations about other stuff, because you are a wealth of knowledge. And I love how you're always like doing cutting edge, stuff with social, right? It's like you said, you dive in, Clubhouse may not be here in 6 months, but let's get what we can out of it now. But I think it's the fundamentals, right? It's just like when we played sports.
Yeah.
Get the fundamentals in place, and you can adjust to whatever comes up next.
So do me a favor. I want to do a Clubhouse room with three of us co-moderating a room. You guys pick the topic and let's blow it up.
Awesome.
I love it.
All right. Everyone heard that. That's called an offer, an acceptance. Yes. There's consideration. We're good to go.
And we put it out there. The only thing left is we got to put money on it. That's it. And then it's done.
Oh, it's going to happen. No. It's going to happen. We'll save the money for the next year's Michigan-Arizona game.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Now we're talking.
There you go.
There we go. Mitch, thank you so much for taking so much of your time. And not just that, but I mean, just the amazing wisdom that you've been able to share. And I hope everyone out there, and we talked about this earlier. This content that we did is live. It's happening right now in this moment, but it lives forever, right? And so we're going to be using Lately and everything else. And I just can't wait for the world, the rest of the world, to hear these stories and to be able to share in this go-giving mentality that you've brought on the platform. Thanks again, Mitch. This has been just amazing.
You're welcome, Chris. Thank you, Jim. It's my pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to Dealcasters. Congratulations. You've taken another step forward in your content creation journey. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe or follow button here in your favorite podcast player so you can be reminded every time we drop an episode.
We love hearing from our listeners and viewers. If you're wanting to watch our shows live on Amazon, feel free to follow Dealcasters Live as well at Dealcasters.live. Follow us on Twitter or subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we also include added content that you cannot find anywhere else.
If you have questions about this episode or have something you want us to review, you can also email us at dealcasters@dealcasters.live. Thanks again for listening, and you know the deal. Don't fear the gear.